Okay. I get why you're trying to put the comments of, that's not true, you have friends, and all that sort of thing. But you read the title, I read the title. There's no turning back, and there's no denying it. This is fact. This is the fact that I didn't have friends during my beginnings. Now, I understand people may think I was copywriting after Sugar Cubes, but it doesn't revolve around my sisters. Unfortunately, they weren't born, and they weren't old enough to actually go outside. But it revolved around me very much. When Poison Flower decided to end our friendship, or at least end it all the contacts and all that, it brought me back to a memory that I wish I didn't actually remember until now. This was something that I kept buried in my mind for so long. And looking back at it now, it made me realize why I tried to actually keep her there, her along with the others, instead of trying to, you guessed it, well, not the moving on, but it was something even more. It was more a fear of what they would become if I did, in fact, let them do it. Now, of course, there are two incidents that were buried in my mind. However, if I was talking about sexual things, I will be putting a 18 or 20 plus. I'm not really sure. So that way you guys know about this. But unfortunately, I will not be doing that. Instead, I'll be focusing on these two incidents that don't involve around sex, but involve around my trust. Now, keep in mind, and I hope you do, we were elementary school kids, basically younger. And this happened back at Alpine Meadows. Yes, the first time I actually said about my place, which is apartments, but unfortunately I don't live there. And plus, tell by the sounds of it, they only care about their dogs instead of their human children's, because the playgrounds were very old. I still remember playgrounds instead of a dark park or whatever. It was never existed for me with dark parks. Sorry. But let's get on to the video. This one, we'll call it the baby gun. If you have no idea what a baby gun is, it's not like a real gun. They have babies on it, and you can't really get bleed if it's directly on your body. Just don't point it at your eye or inside your mouth, because, well, it's very painful, and you might actually be blind for the rest of your life with this. But however, as I said before, we were elementary school kids. Basically, dumb, young and dumb, as I'm going to say it. And I only remember these two kids. Unfortunately, I can't remember their names, so I'll call them Josh and John. And Josh being the tall boy, while John being the short one. I do have to mention that Josh... Wait. Okay. I kind of forgot about that one. Who's the oldest and why not. But, okay, John Sorry about that. It took me some time to actually remember. But John was my ex-boyfriend. You heard me straight. He was my old boyfriend. Unfortunately, we broke up, and for good reasons. And since I don't remember their name, I think it's for the best because I've already been traumatized by these two for so long. Now, John, who is my ex-boyfriend, was holding a baby gun and decided to be playing assassin, where all of us are basically his targets. Wait, hang on a sec. John was basically the assassin while the rest of us are his targets. Now, the point is, we were never supposed to get caught. Unless you had to move one place to another, you had to be running as fast as you can. Now, well, there are 2 locations that we decided to choose in order for him to actually shoot us. We cannot go near the building, which we'll call it apartment 2. I live in an apartment 3, which that will be an important one. And I think they live in apartment 2? I don't remember. But then again, they did have this tube, so it's a possibility. So, we were never supposed to be close to the building 2, other than the 2 places, the garbage area, and of course, a tree. Yes, they do have a tree over there. I just had to mention with you. As for the garbage area, it's not a garbage dump, but it has a wall on it, so that way you can actually vision it. So, we were just up, and I decided to go running at full speed. To be honest, I have no idea how a baby gun should feel like. Another thing you'll probably notice is that I don't like physical touch. Spiders, including people touching me, unless I told them to, who is one thing. But once a person who didn't ask to touch me touches me, all I can feel is sensation and still feel they're touching me. Their touches just never go away until the next day or the day after. However, with the baby gun, knowing I never knew how much pain it gets, which he shot me by the shoulder, and I felt it. It lasted for a week because I could still feel it. And once I felt it, I ran back home. I was crying too. Now, right before the second incident, this one was more of something that almost lowered my self-esteem. Especially with me singing, which is my favorite thing to do. All of a sudden, the boys there, Josh and John, told me that my singing sounded terrible. Now, if you're probably wondering what I was singing it's kind of hard to actually see what the song is, but it was from the Ocarina of Time at the farm where you actually had to call a horse before you ride it. That type of song. And they told me that my singing sounded terrible. Now, this only broke me a little, but not as much. As I love singing very much, I don't sing in front of them. And then, of course, there is the incident where actually traumatized me for life and made me see that not all children's, nor even friends, are considered innocents. Now, this is where I was still living in apartment 3. And I lived in the bottom floor, which is also where we got sick mostly, but that was way before the flood. Like, way, way before. And I'm gonna have to specifically explain it, but we always play indoors just in case we get bored, and sometimes we always go and play in the hallways when it's winter, though I can't remember any of that since it's been a long time. However, I'll be focusing on this one. Now, we were just talking a lot until John, again, with John, which I believe he's cursed, actually, both of them told me to follow them. Now it was just me, Josh, and John. And I, as an autistic person who they can take advantage of, I followed them. They took me to the storage closets, into the first closet. They told me to go in there. I did, and turn on the lights. There is nothing there other than the toilet. Then they closed the door. I didn't remember any of that, so I figured to just wait for a little until I noticed that they left. I tried opening the door. Nothing. I tried opening the door and putting my weight. Nothing. I was trapped there. I screamed. I yelled. I called for help. But nothing. Nothing at all. Not only that, the boys specifically abandoned me. While being stuck there, I realized then that these people weren't my friends, but people who wanted to hurt me. I tried my best to get out, but nothing worked. Until someone came. An adult came and saved me. Josh and John were there too. I immediately went back home with my mom and dad. The next thing, I think I remember it, though I think it was my dad. But he went to my quote-unquote friends, or should I say bullies, and told them, including his parents, that if they dare hurt me or even bully me whatsoever, he will kill them with his own bare hands. I was not even joking. Now, during the rest of my life in those apartments, I did sneak out of the window and took my revenge by actually throwing bones, but it got me in trouble, and I was not allowed to go outside, but that was okay. I don't want to go outside, and I'd rather not, because they were not my style, and they were never my friends. It's also reasons why I didn't mention this earlier, but during my time with them, it made me into an introvert. However, in high school, it made me an extrovert as well. By that time, I had a split personalities. One at home, which is my introvert, and one at school, which is my extrovert. It's also outside of family, me too. basically outside of my home, I'm basically an extrovert every time, especially online. However, when at home, I'm an introvert. Despite me going to the internet and being an extrovert, it still made me into an introvert more and more. By the time I did have 2 more boyfriends, however, one of the boyfriends I have, we'll call him Jay. I don't know why I'm calling him Jay. We'll just call him Red. He was basically very abusive. He doesn't care if the girl wants anything or not, or what she wants to do. He only cares what he wants. We broke up afterwards. And then Joey. Yes, that's his actual name, though he has a real name. I won't be not saying that. But me and him broke up after he forced me to put my legs on his. We also broke up. What is with me and breaking up with boys? But during those times, I stopped trying to make friends. During middle school, I didn't want to be into it. Despite having a sign on there, outside of school wasn't safe. I was invited to a girl's birthday party. We'll call her Jaylee. In fact, her name is Jay. And the one thing I noticed is that they were talking behind my back. I didn't understand it, but it hurt my feelings. By the time I went home, I threw away the invitation, something that was very important. Their phone information and all that, I threw them away. It was the same for the second one during high school. The reasons here was because I didn't want to be involved around another bully again. I didn't want that. During my years and my birthdays, I always wished to have a birthday party with friends, just like a normal person. But I didn't get that. And I see why. Why my wish never came true. Because I see people bullying other people, even when they tried to make friends. When Poison Flower blocked me, I started to open my eyes, seeing that I didn't have friends. No one was my friend. I was completely much alone. Which is the reason why, even though I unblocked her, I didn't want to be friends with her anymore. Fearing that if she did, she would become a different person and becoming like them. My fears of them had grown deeper for a long time. And for me to ease those pains, I had to stay away from them, which meant not talking to them at all. Even though people would say that blocking them would work, it doesn't work with me. They're my friends, and I can't just block them. And these were friends that were loyal to me, that didn't actually say that I was stupid, or that I deserved it. But they actually understand me as a human being. By the time I was in high school, I made 3 wonderful friends. Kyle, Nate, and Rachel. They were the only friends that I ever had. And then Poison Flower. As I said before, me and Poison Flower broke up. And the reason why I told her to never talk to me was because of my fear. I have dealt with this before. I didn't want to deal with it again. I don't want to walk back into my past, realizing that I didn't have friends anymore. And friendship was never magic. Back then, we didn't have a show called Friendship is Magic. We were basically didn't understand what friendship means until that show came. When she told me that friends don't last forever, it made me rethink about the show and realize that the show was wrong. They show that friends do last forever, but do they? It made me rethink about it. Made me realize that friendships are not magic. They were never even magic in the first place. And even right now, I didn't want to talk to my friends. And until I'm ready, I'm not going to talk to them. I never want to. Sometimes I wish my introverts will always be everywhere I go. I'm sorry, Disguise, but even though you want to make friends with me, my fears will always haunt me. And it's something I cannot ignore. Thank you for listening. I hope everyone understands that.